Hey everybody, Paul here from Phoenix Tail Games again, and back with another one. So, 2 months ago to the day, I pushed out my last video about talking about item inspection and getting things to work, and it has taken a very long time to get everything actually going. Um, but I'm happy to finally say that I think I am finally done with items. So just to show you what I got, so we have simple items, which are basically just like meshes with not much on them, and we have complex items, which where there's behavior on them. So to look at the simple items again, we can do things like we can move it is holstered. You can kind of see we have it in our hands, and then we can kind of like click on it. We can move it around. We can zoom in, zoom out, and we can drop it again. And we can do that with all of these, and they're all pretty simple because they all kind of follow the same code path. um and then and as you can see, it's like it retains its position, and it can like pick them up and move them around and stuff. And that's kind of cool. The way that works behind the scene, um if I can actually click on things and have it do well, is so I have like these simple items, and these are all child classes of the simple item. And here it's like there's just a bunch of code where all the simple items do the basic things that they have to do. And so there's code for like the overlay showing. That is again like I come over here and you can see like the little red overlay. And there's stuff for like um making sure that like when I need to disable physics on it, I am. So that's like, when you're holding it, you don't want to like immediately hold it and then have it just drop to the floor, because then it wouldn't look like you're holding it, right? Or if you're inspecting it, you don't want it to immediately fall. So in some of these cases, we just have to like snap our fingers and turn off gravity on some of these things. And all that is really nice and work. The trick was to start to work on the complex items. So now what happens is that like when we inspect it, now as you can see, like we have like item movement and all that works, and my mouse is still down right now. When I let go of the mouse, nothing happens. And that makes sense because we were in a rotation, not a click. And so getting click to work is actually the part that was a bit tricky. And so now we have click, and so this simple item is just one that turns yellow, and then if I click on it again, it goes back to being blue. Now, the real trick here was to be able to go back to holding, and then dropping it, and then have that state persist and follow that item around. That was a trick. And we even got it working on like the complex cube. And so the complex cube is like I can turn it red, I can turn it yellow, I can turn it blue again. Um, and the item state follows it around too. So how does that work? That was tricky. The way that ended up working is I have these like blueprints here, and these are all just like child classes of parent. And I just have some template code, and that template code is about like getting its state string. And then I have like a helper function in C++ to convert that state string to a struct, uh, or take the struct and turn it back into a string. And then I have this singular event called apply state. And apply state is really what drives all of the behavior. And so all everything is basically like all these complex items that are going to have behavior on them. They're all going to have a struct, and that struct is going to have a boatload of variables on them, or hopefully not, but some will. And then all I have to do is that whenever I do anything, I just have to update the struct and then hit apply state. And then it should, if I've done it properly, just update the item to look and do what it is supposed to do. and so what that and so it's like I have like a bunch of kind of like templated code. Like the yellow here is like templated code for like when I go to inspection, what am I supposed to do? And so it's like, because these can have multiple meshes, I can't do just like a simple like, hey, on this joystick mesh, do the thing. I have to sort of do now like get components by class. um, hold item tasks, and then this is where things sort of like get a little new. So I have to do things like get the new struct, and so these are files that are in. So here's my file, and so go to source. I believe they're in public. Then I have item structs, and then here, this is just where all of my structs are going to live. And so like this one for the advanced item struct is just going to be just a simple item struct. So it just has three bools on it, like red pressed, yellow pressed, blue pressed. And so what that ends up looking like um, is like, so I just get a switch on the name and I just get the clicked component. That's what I'm passing when I click. Um, and whatever is being clicked on, I just switch on the name of whatever it is. And so these just have to switch off of the names. And then whatever it is, I update the struct. And then I write that struct to a string because in case I ever have to pass it around. And then I call update. And then an update, I just, or apply state. And in apply state, like this is a bit messy. I was doing this to make sure it works on. Hopefully, I will get better at organizing like enums and variables and stuff on more complex items, but I just need to get this to work. Uh, my flow was like, all right, I created one basic or one complex item. Can I create another one? If I can't make another one somewhat easily, then all of this is for naught. Like I need to be able to create them in with some regularity, with some kind of ease, or I am going to hate myself. So went with red, yellow, and blue for just like the buttons. I just created a quick enum for it, and now I just like set it off of the bools, do the checks, and then I switch off the enum, and then we update the color of the cube based on whatever it is I did. And so the only steps I actually had to do when I created this one was I had to go into the cube, I had to add all of these, I had to position them, just put them wherever they're supposed to be, and then I didn't touch anything in here. All I did was like actually go into C++, create the struct, come over here, create the struct or update the struct reference so that this item has its struct. And then the other part, and then the real complex part, the part that's actually going to take the work, which it should, is defining the behavior of like what happens when you click on what. So if you click on the red sphere, it should update it so that the bool for is red pressed is true. That's all it really should ever have to do. More complex items, like if there's things that move or if there's like a puzzle box or something like that, these will get more complex, but I just wanted like a simple example and then a slightly more complex example before kind of calling like this done. And so now like over in apply state, it's just like again checking off and then updating the material based on whatever it is. And all I had to do was just update, do a little bit here, and then do some work here to just make sure that the item is properly updated with its correct code. And it's like, that was it. That was really it. And now it's done. And it was like, once I got like the flow of like, oh, this is how I create a second item. Man, this is gonna be pretty simple. And now I can come back to my beautiful basic level here and I can just go to my items and just be like click 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 and they all update and it's beautiful and I can now start to move on to my next game system. I'm very happy this is finally done. This has taken like 3 months. I've had to rebuild this stupid system like several times. I had like multiple different flows for creating like simple and complex items. I've learned so much from software development doing this. Major lessons are like don't fight the game engine. Don't be afraid to dip into C++ if you need to. There's a lot of like gotchas, so don't be afraid to like ask questions. I mean, as you can see, like I have like ChatGPT open. I ask it for help sometimes understanding Unreal Engine. Like YouTube, Reddit, ChatGPT are all good helpers for like just getting answers for how this system works. Like I had this problem where like just to give an example where it's like when I was clicking, like I was having trouble like actually detecting the distance of the mouse click. So if like if I click if my mouse started here and then I did a drag, it was still the distance was still based off of wherever the mouse was, even though I was clicking and holding and moving the mouse. And the reason that happened was I believe it's in my player controller. The reason that happened is because when I went into item inspection, I did all the things I'm supposed to do. Then I had hide cursor during capture, and this broke everything. And if I check that and then go back, like it'll break. It's not going to work anymore. See, it's like how the mouse doesn't move, and I'll never get a rotate, and that's because the mouse position is never moving. Even though, so I thought like, oh, it's being hidden, but it's still calculating distance. Nope, it doesn't do that. So you have to like so there's a lot of gotchas with Unreal Engine, just learning how like some of these different um innocuous looking like booleans can actually really affect the behavior of what you're trying to can really affect what you're doing, even if you don't think they would. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much, and we'll see what I get into next time.